Welcome to the Movie Cheer Podcast, the show for movie fans. I am your host AP, aka Mr. Movie Cheer, and on today's episode of the Movie Cheer Pod, it will be a 60th anniversary special looking at the movie Dr. No, the very first James Bond movie. 60 years. Wow, this year it came out in 1962. And it came out in October 1962 in the UK. And I thought, let's do a whole show dedicated to one movie for a change. Yeah, and I'm a big James Bond fan. I thought this is a show we got to do. I mentioned it. I think it was the other week, a few weeks back. I sort of briefly mentioned maybe doing something like this, and yeah, I thought let's watch this movie again. Let's do a whole show dedicated, a headline topic dedicated to Dr. No, the first Bond movie, 007, today. And yeah, it's going to be an exciting show. So today's headline topic, I'll be doing a deep dive into Dr. No, just looking at the movie as a whole, the plot, my honest opinions of the movie. Just a whole host of different little discussion topics I'm going to deep dive into on Dr. No in the headline topic for today's show. But before we get to today's headline topic, each and every week here on Movie Cheer Pod, we start off with the segment called Not So Worthy Blockbuster Housekeeping. This is a part of the show where I discuss what's going on with the channel, what's going on with the Movie Cheer Town community, and it's just a general easing in chit-chat for the rest of the episode. So, Not So Worthy Blockbuster Housekeeping for this week. What is going on, ladies and gents? Well, let's have a look. Got my notes here. I'm all prepared, as always. So let's talk about latest video on the channel. As you know, if you're regular to the channel, there's a Thursday video, and then there's a podcast that usually hits on Saturday as well. And the Thursday video on YouTube this week was a topic of will collecting movies become a thing of the past? And this was a topic I've mentioned this in the video, kind of related videos to this, like collecting DVDs, collecting movies, physical media in general. But I thought, that hobby, that passion, that of collecting movies, looking at it and seeing how long it'll last for, and will it become a thing of the past in the future? At what point will that be? And that video was just a general discussion, me just deep diving into a few different questions. I really do like them videos where it's just a kind of like a question sort of one, rather than like let me show you some movies. I like doing them discussion ones. I do think they're interesting to do, and I feel like the community as a whole, the Movie Cheer Town community, really got in there, and I had a lot of people, different comments on this topic and different opinions and views, and it was awesome to see and to hear everyone's feedback on this topic and whether collecting movies will become a thing of the past at some point in the future. But yeah, if you've not checked out that video, definitely check it out. I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who has watched it already and got involved in the comments on that. I do appreciate everyone in the community just getting involved in the comment section. I always like that. It's nice chatting with everyone. So that was a really fun video to do. I will say I've got another similar video coming up to this topic in the next week or so. So keep your eyes out for next week's video as well. But yeah, collecting movies, I'm a big fan of collecting movies still. I'm not a guy who's collecting every single week, I will say that, admittedly, but I do like collecting movies, and when it's a movie or, say, a TV show or something I'm really after, I will try my hardest to get it. I do, most of the time, though, it's, looking for a movie in the wild, out and about charity shops, trying to get a bargain, even though I can go online. You know the score. If you watch the channel, you know what I'm all about. But yeah, definitely check out that video if you've not. And again, it was cool to see a lot of people viewing that video, and it looks like it's going to be a cool, big number video on the channel, so that's always good to see. Second bit of item, the news item, I would say, not news item, but second item of Not So Worthy Blockbuster Housekeeping. So every 3 months on the channel, we do a pay-per-view show every 3 months, and then I take like a 2-3 week break then from doing the podcast, doing the videos. But every 3 months now, it's pay-per-view show, and the idea every time is to do a bit more of a bigger show than normal, where it's just me on my own, The plan of action is to do this again next month in September. So I'm looking at the rough date now, the sort of like the sketched in date, because I do need to like make sure I am definitely okay to do this, because it'll be live and check the times. So I'm looking at the 24th of September, which will be a Saturday, I believe. And the event, so we've had a few different event names so far for the other live shows, pay-per-view shows over the past year. This is going to be another one, hopefully, that's going to stick around, and we're going to do this like an annual thing, and it's going to be called Movie Cheer Fest. That is right, Movie Cheer Fest. I mentioned this on one of the most recent Patreon bonus podcasts, so people who've listened to that might know of this announcement already. Yeah, but so Movie Cheer Fest, a few different ideas still. I'm still thinking of whether doing this as like a 2-day thing. I was thinking like doing a live stream on maybe the Friday, and then on the Saturday episode, doing like a live stream on the YouTube channel, but then doing an episode of the podcast on the Saturday. But at the moment, it's just going to be a podcast episode, but it's going to be a super fun pay-per-view episode. But yeah, Movie Cheer Fest this year. I'm hoping to, again, every time this year we've grew with another guest, another guest co-host on the channel, on the podcast episodes. Hopefully, there was 3 of us on the last one. Hopefully, if we can get 3, I think if we get 2 people again, it's awesome. I mean, it's awesome just getting another person on the show chatting. But yeah, I'm gonna try and get some more people involved in Movie Cheer Fest and put together a fun episode, and it'll be just a entertaining episode, and I'm looking forward to doing that. So Movie Cheer Fest, it is sketched in for now for the 24th of September. Looking forward to that. I'm going to be putting out a bit more stuff, items, and there's maybe some logos and stuff for that over the next couple of weeks. And hopefully, maybe I wouldn't mind doing a few like a little announcements over, if we get some people involved with that, obviously make some announcements of who is going to be featuring on Movie Cheer Fest this year. So that is coming up. What else have we got? This week on the website, moviecheerpodcast.com, there was a new blog post. New blog post every single week. They hit on Wednesday, the blog post usually. This week was a blog post about Pokemon, and it was about how a live-action Pokemon cinematic universe could look like. What would it look like? And it was me giving a few different options and a few ideas as a massive fanboy of Pokemon. I say a massive fanboy. I'm not a huge fanboy, but I mean, big passion for it growing up, and still to this day. I mean, to the right of me, I've got a case full of Pokemon cards that I've been sorting through recently because I got like a new booklet. I still really do enjoy Pokemon. I think it's just a fun franchise, a fun property. I really like the games as well and the animated show. And yeah, I would really like to see more cinematic like movies, live action movies from the Pokemon universe as well. But it's not happening at the moment. Detective Pikachu was awesome. Absolutely love that movie. I'd love to see another one at some point. It just seems bizarre that they've not done any more yet, because it's such a big property, and it just feels like it's on a level. It's maybe not a level of a Star Wars, but maybe it is in a way, because it's such a big property. Pokemon is it's huge, but for some reason they've not done it. They've not done it. I mean, I think it done not as well as Sonic, the first Sonic movie, but I think it was just around that same mark profit wise. But I think if they did more and more of them Pokemon movies, just different style movies, different storytelling, different plots for each one. They didn't have to all be sequels to each other. They could build a really cool cinematic universe with that property. So go check out that blog post if you're interested. Just another quick update to the website as well. I had a little bit of a change around with the website, and it's still, it's a very basic website, moviecheerpodcast.com. I will say though, now I've got enough blog posts together. I've put like all the popular blog posts together. So blog posts that have had like so many views, or a certain amount of views, I've put on a different page. I put on a page so you can get to them easily if you're new to that website, and it'll just be on the popular blogs or popular posts, it's called, on the website on the tab at the top. So if you just want to get to some of the popular posts that have been read more popular people, check out them posts. It's more easily accessible now to get to anyway. But that is the not so worthy blockbuster housekeeping for today's show over and done with. let's get to today's headline topic. So today's headline topic, James Bond, Dr. No, 60 years after the initial release of the movie. We're going to celebrate 60 years today. We're having a birthday party for James Bond, Dr. No, the movie. It came out, as I said at the start of the show, it came out here in the UK in October of 1962. It came out in the US in May 1963. We got it a year before, But yeah, 1963, the very first James Bond movie, starring Sean Connery as the main role of James Bond 007, spy movie. And I'll just say this before we get into this. I rewatched it this morning. I've watched it a few times over the years. I've watched all James Bond movies. Big James Bond fan. I really like him. I've got like the DVD set where it's like the 007 when you put them all together. But yeah, I really like the James Bond movies. Even the ones, the earlier ones, like the Connery ones, the Roger Moores. There's certainly ones that I've watched less. I mean, like the George Lazenby, the American guy. I never liked that movie. Never liked that one as much. Maybe I know a few people I've spoken to in the community have said that's a decent movie. Maybe that's one what I need to rewatch, because I rewatched the Timothy Dalton ones more recently, and they were very enjoyable. But today we are talking about Dr. No, the first Bond movie. We're not talking about any of them other Bond movies. It's Dr. No, 60 years after the initial release. So let's dig into the plot. Let's talk about this movie. Well, first of all, I will say it is based on a novel by Ian Fleming, and I think the novel came out in 1958, I believe. I think it was 1958, around that time. And that was, it's weird to think that it was only, the actual novel, the book, was only a few years old when this movie came out. So it was a very fresh novel at the time. And so the basis of Dr. No, it's introducing us to this character of James Bond, this spy who works for MI5, and he is, doing all these top secret missions. And we start off with this movie where basically it's set mainly in Jamaica. This movie, and it starts off with, like, an agent in Jamaica is killed at the beginning of the movie, and his secretary is killed, and then it's an investigation kind of goes from that point. It's kind of like an investigation movie, really. When you look at it overall as one big picture, it's very much like, go investigate why this agent was killed at the very start of this movie by these assassins. So Bond is put on the case. He is put on the case by M to go and investigate and find out what's going on, what happened, and to get to the bottom of this. And he goes to Jamaica and he gets followed there. They're already aware that he is there. He's meant to meeting up with the CIA agent Felix Leiter, who he does end up meeting eventually in the story, in the plot later on. But they know, someone's after him. There's someone looming in the background, and it's easy to know who it is and who's chasing Bond or who's against him here. The title of the movie is a bit of a giveaway. It's Dr. No. It's his, he's all these minions are going after Bond and trying to find him. So Bond goes to this island and he discovers that this agent who was killed, called Strangway, Commander Strangway, was killed, and he was interested in rocks and stuff, and he went to an offshore island of, basically, Dr. No has this fortress, so like a fortress in the sea, in the Caribbean, and he is doing all like these radioactive experiments there. And there's an island off the shore of this sort of like rig, this like oil, it's like an oil rig, this fortress. And the agent Strangway, he must have found these rocks there, they were radioactive, and he started to investigate Dr. No, and he had a file on Dr. No. The file on Dr. No was then reported missing, so they had no information on him. And then Bond decides to go to this island, this offshore island. He meets up with Felix Leiter, goes to this offshore island. They end up then getting sort of like kidnapped by some of Dr. No's minions on this island. And he gets taken to this fortress on this like oil rig type building base. And yeah, it's a top secret evil lure. It's a typical evil, super villain lure. This place. It's all like these big metallic doors, like these big bolted massive doors, and then you go in, and then it's like these really high tech rooms, and then you go to another place, and it's like a 5-star hotel for these where they have all like the prisoners. It's crazy. But they go and then Bond meets Dr. No, and they get to know each other over a nice dinner. And then eventually, spoilers for Doctor No if you've not watched it. It's a 60-year-old movie now. I'm gonna say what happens in the end. So if you've not watched it, go and watch it now. But yeah, he then has a final battle with Doctor No, which is very, very tame. It's not a very high action battle at the end of the movie, but he then ends up putting Dr. No in sort of radioactive water, and Dr. No you presume he is dead. They escape this rig that is about to explode then from radioactivity, and him and the Bond girl, Honey, I've got a name down here, what is it? Honey Rider, then escape. Obviously, they meet Honey Rider on the offshore island throughout this. So, that is kind of that's a summary of the plot. I mean, there's a lot more in there, I'm sure, that I'm missing out. But, a basic summary of the plot of Doctor No. I want to get to honest opinions. Honest opinions of this movie. What do I think, honestly, for a 60-year-old movie, what do I think of this? Well, I will say, I'm going to compare it to other Bond movies in a bit. I'll get to that in a minute, but it's different from the other Bond movies, obviously, because it's a 60-year-old movie. It's bound to not have the same pace of a more modern movie. So you've got to bear that in mind. I think it is a decent Bond movie. I think it's a really good introduction to the character of James Bond. I do like the introduction of him, and I feel like you kind of get a whole... You kind of understand what the character is and what he's all about in this movie. And for further movies down the line as well, this kind of introduces, and it kind of says, this is what Bond is like, this is his character, this is the way he reacts in certain situations, and this is the way he is with people. And you get that idea of his character in this. It is a slow movie. I do think it is a slow movie at times. I think the pace, just because of the lack of action. There's very low levels of action. I think there is a certain moment in the movie. There's only really like 2 or 3 action scenes in this, and they're only kind of like punch outs, like little small punch outs, like 10-second punch outs, and that's it. Like a little fist fight. There's not a whole lot of action in this movie. The car chases in this are, again, 1960s style car chase. Don't be expecting like a Fast and Furious movie car chase. But I will say, even though it is slow pacing, I think it works more with the characters. You see a bit more of the characters, you see more dialogue, and you see the build-up of the characters, and not even the main characters, even like the side characters, like Felix Leiter, like the guy, the boat guy, I forget his name. Poirot, is it? I forget his name now. I should have wrote it down. Honey Rider. You get all these developing characters that are kind of built up, and you feel like it builds up a few different characters in this movie really well because of the lack of action. Well, I will say it's got a charm to it. It's definitely got a charm to it, and it's what I remember growing up. I always watched. I mean, my Bond growing up would have been Pierce Brosnan. He was my Bond. He's the guy I watched. I used to watch his Bond movies on VHS as a kid. Really enjoyed his movies. After that, obviously, then Daniel Craig, his movies. And then I must have started watching the older Bonds, the older, I say the older Bonds, the previous Bond movies, I mean to say. Then probably when I started maybe watching Daniel Craig's movies, because I got the box set then, and I started watching the past Bond movies, and the 1960s, starting with the 1962 release of Doctor No. And I started watching all these through, and at first I was like, I don't know whether I'm going to like these, because these are movies that are, of a different era of filmmaking. I don't know whether this is going to be my cup of tea because I'd not really watched that many movies from the 1960s and the 70s. I'll be honest with you at that point. And I started watching them first few Bond movies, and yeah, the pacing's slow on some of them. It's not full of a ton of action, but I really enjoyed them. I really enjoyed watching them all through, and I really did enjoy watching the Bond. And there was, there is a few duds. There is a few duds in there, definitely. But overall, they are fun. But yeah, this has got a charm to it. It's got a charm. I think Connery is superb as Bond. He is fantastic. It's just to think this, if they didn't have the invention of wigs back then, he would never have been Bond because he was bald. he was like me. He was bald. He used to wear a hairpiece for this movie. And man, that is one hairpiece. If I could get a hairpiece like that, I'd be walking around without hats, and I'd be wearing a hairpiece, definitely. Yeah, but no, he is excellent. He's just, for a 1960s Bond, perfect. I don't know who is my favourite. I think it's hard. I probably would say Daniel Craig, but he is just he just suited to that role. I don't know who else they would have had at the time, who else they had planned maybe. It'd be interesting to know who would have been, I'm sure I've heard like Clint Eastwood was mentioned once. I don't know whether that was like a Roger Moore one when Connery walked away. I don't know, but I honestly couldn't. He's just the perfect Bond. I think he's a great Bond, Connery, and he's just fantastic in this. And he really makes you, you believe that this sort of like thing goes on in the world. These spies, this hidden agenda, these spy world, and it's awesome. A few things I really liked as well is I was reading online, and you get the first mention of Spectre in this, the super villain organization Spectre, and by Dr. No in this movie, and he mentions them for the first time, and apparently in the book it was only mentioned in the second novel that came out in 1964. That was the Thunderball novel. But they made references in the movie, so they must have knew in advance, kind of like the way they do with the Game of Thrones now, that they were going to have this evil organization, Spectre, and it was obviously going to feature very prominently in future Bond movies. But I really do like it. But yeah, it is fantastic. It is a great movie set for the time. Honest opinion, I like it. I do like it. I don't think it is my favourite Bond movie of all time. I will say that. But I do enjoy it. And I do enjoy it. I put it on. And it's not one I'd watch all the time, but I still enjoy it when I watch it, definitely. Best moments in the movie. Let's get to some best moments anyway. Right. First of all, the first introduction of Bond. We start off the movie with the killing of Strangway, the agent, by the Free and Blind Mice. that song is just that's so weird because this Bond movie doesn't have that sort of like Shirley Bassey big extravagant Bond song really. It has like I can't even. I'm not even going to sing it because I'm just going to butcher the song, the the shell song that the Bond girl sings on the beach. I'm not even going to sing it. It's gone. I'm not even going to shame myself. And they have the Free Blind Mice song that runs through a bit of the movie as well. But yeah, that agent gets killed, and then we get the introduction of Bond at a poker table where he's getting like a message from the MI5 to obviously go and meet up with them. And you see him at the poker table, and this woman, he's playing against this woman. I think they're playing like some form of poker, is it? Blackjack? I don't know. And around this poker table, playing, and he's smoking a cigarette, a fag, we call them over here in the UK, fag, cigarettes, whatever you want to call them. But yeah, he was smoking a cigarette, and basically, you don't see him, you don't see his face. You hear his voice first, and then she says her name, and then he then says, "The name's Bond, James Bond," and you get that introduction for that first time, and it's great. He's got the cigarette in his hand in his mouth, and he's playing poker, and it's just like that's Bond. He's around, he's gambling, he's around, he's smoking, he's gambling, he's just being this super cool, suave dude. That's Bond. That is Bond in a glass, distilled water in a bowl. That's him. Yeah, but I really do like that scene. I think it is such a great introduction to that character. Some of the other... Some, another scene I like is on the beach, right? So you're on the beach and he meets Honey Rider for the first time. And this is something you don't really get in modern Bond films now. Obviously, times have changed, but it's just it's just this scene just cracks me up. She's collecting all these shells, and she says, I'm paraphrasing it. So she says something like to Bond, "You don't want my shells," and he says something, "No, I'm just looking," or something like that. And it's just like such a cringe-worthy line now. What does she say? She says like, "You're." No, I think she says something like, "You're not trying to steal my shells," and he says, "No, I'm just looking." And she's in a bikini, she's on the beach, she just got out of the water. He's just being a massive pervert, Bond, isn't he? It's time to change now. You wouldn't get that line, I don't think, in a modern Bond movie. I doesn't really bother me personally, but I just thought it was just it feels like a bit like carry on, like a Carry On movie. Some of the lines in this now, looking back, and especially the end of the movie feels like a bit Carry On-ish. I do like the introduction as well of Dr. No in this movie, where you don't hear his voice, you don't see him for the first time. Similar to Bond's introduction, really, where he is with this character called Dent, who is a professor who is working with Dr. No and is working against Bond. And you see this professor go into his lair, into this room, and you hear this echoed voice. Like, he's not even in the room. He's like maybe somewhere in the room, but his echoed voice is going in this room. And you hear Dr. No speaking to him in a very sinister tone, and he's very scared, and you feel the adrenaline, you feel the fear in this character. And I love that introduction of that character, and creates that mystery, to that build, that anticipation to meet Dr. No for the first time. Another great scene as well is, I think, the Black Widow spider scene, where they put he gives Dent a Black Widow spider. I think he gives it to Dent. He gives it to one of the characters anyway. Puts it in Bond's bed while he's sleeping, and you see this like something moving up his sheets, and then he wakes up and he's got this big Black Widow spider on him. He knocks it off, and then you see him just like smack the floor, but you hear it with like the strings at the time, like the music, and it's go dun dun dun, and it's just so impactful, like a psycho type moment. It's amazing. But how does this compare to other Bond movies? Like I said, I think for me, I love the new Bond movies because they are just full of action, and just they're well put together, like the action set pieces. And I'm a big action guy. For me, a Bond movie is much better when it's got that action in it. And I think like the Pierce Brosnan ones did it really well. I think the Daniel Craig ones have done it good as well. And even like the Timothy Dalton one, the second Timothy Dalton one I watched was really good like that. I think it was License to Kill, I think it was. I've got them in there. But yeah, I think it is I think in that era of like Roger Moore, Sean Connery movies, Dr. No's definitely up there as one of the best ones for me, definitely. I'll have to rewatch them again, because I always change my mind on movies, but I think for me, the more modern ones are definitely more up my street, just because it's more action orientated, and I think they're just more polished. It's modern times, modern effects. I just think they are really well done, especially the Daniel Craig ones. I think the Daniel Craig Bonds are fantastic. But I just want to get to one final thing, final sort of like question before we end this headline topic today. Could this movie be remade? Should it be remade? Could it be retold? I was thinking this while watching this, and I put this question down and sort of thought about this. Could this be retold? Could we have a reboot of this story? I was thinking, some movies like a Star Wars, if they said to remake Star Wars, I'd be like, no way. Or to reboot it in a way. But like talking about a remake, a retelling of the story. What I wouldn't like a direct remake of Dr. No, but I do feel like I felt like in the last Bond movie, I thought Dr. No might have featured in that from the trailers. I really thought he would feature as one of the characters. We didn't see that, but it'd be interesting to just see Dr. No's character feature in a. They're going to reboot the Bond franchise now. It's at Amazon. Daniel Craig is now left the role. they're going to reboot it. I would really be interested to see the way they've done it with Blofeld, where they've recast that role over the years, a reboot of the character, and a kind of like a retelling of the story. And maybe I think it would work well as like something at the end. If they did the next Bond movie, and at the end they do that kind of like that dark, the Batman Begins bit with the Joker card, where they have a file for Bond where it just says Doctor No, and then they lead into a retelling in a second story. But it would have to be different for me. But I think having that character would be interesting to see again. I think I wouldn't close the book on that character. I think it would be interesting to see. But yeah, Doctor No, 60 years on, you've got to give it a thumbs up. I enjoyed rewatching it today. It was a really a decent Bond movie. I'm sure everyone's got different opinions. Some people may love it. Some people may really dislike it. I'm kind of like towards more. I really like it. I really do enjoy it. It's a fun movie for the time. It's a fun movie as a Bond fan, which I am. Thumbs up from me, and I just want to say happy birthday to Dr. No. 60 years. Well done. Let's move on anyway with the rest of the show. It's time for the movie variant showdown segment of the show. Are you ready? Movie Variant Showdown. Each and every week I choose a representative of a movie property, whether it be a case cover, a movie poster, a movie character, or even a movie, and I put it up against other representatives, other variants of that representative of that property. And today, as on the main show, on the headline topic, as we're discussing the 60th anniversary of Dr. No, I thought let's continue this Dr. No thread throughout the show, and let's look at the case covers, the movie case covers of Dr. No. So we've got a few DVD ones, a few Blu-rays to discuss today for the show. So let's get into it with the first one, which is the first DVD case cover. So start off. So this is one that is I've never seen this physically before personally, but it's very much, you've got like a black bar at the top, black bar at the bottom, and then you've got the beach scene in the middle with Honey Rider's character coming out of the water, and then you've got like that classic Bond look where he's holding his gun, and he's in a shirt, and he looks like he's in the beach shirt from the beach here. So it's kind of like depicting that beach scene a bit. Very light within the middle, with the bright sunshine, the bright blue skies, and the beach. The text at the top is, you've got the 007 in the grey, and then in front of that you've got Dr. No in kind of like a firelight font. I do think it is a bit of a simplistic cover, this one. It kind of looks like a really, cheaply made. It feels like, let's go and make a DVD. We're going to make a new version of this DVD. And I will say, this movie has had tons of different case covers. I've missed out a few here because some of them were similar to others. I picked out all the ones that are very distinctively different. But this is very plain, and I think it is it's not the best put together, this one, I will say. I'm not massive on this cover. But let's go to the next one. So the next one is a Blu-ray cover. And this is the Blu-ray cover of Bond, and let's talk about this one. So this one features kind of like the intro of the movie, where you get them sort of like, you get that circular sort of thing that moves around. You see Bond doing his sort of stance at the start of the movie. It's got that sort of look to it, and then you've got the two main characters of, Honey Rider and Bond here. Again, both in the beach attire here, and the beach is kind of like the background for this. It's a lot more lighter, this one, and I will say though, Bond's pose in this, I don't know what he's like wiping his gun against his shoulder. I'm not massively keen on that. The 007 text is very large at the bottom, but it's very sort of like, you can't really see it that well. It feels, because of the white, like the brightness at the bottom here, it's very, very subtle, I would say. And the text of Dr. No is in that fire font again, fire color, and very, very simplistic. I will say though, I like this more than the first DVD. I think it is much better. I think it could be the stance of Bond there. Put the guy in a tux. Just put the guy in a tux. That's all I want to see. I want to see Bond in a tuxedo. Yeah, it's better than the DVD for me though, definitely. Anyway, let's move on to the third pick here, and this is the third pick now is another Blu-ray of Bond, and this is, let's talk about this. So, this one has kind of like a very blue look to it, very blue feel. You get obviously this is in the background, background image of this one is the car chase. You see Bond's car in the background. We see Dr. No in a white font this time, very much the same text font, but a white colour, sorry. And then the 007 is in that sort of classic gold font, gold colour, classic font. I love the text on this. I think they got the text perfect on this one. For the background, for the image, it's perfect here. It just stands out. 007 stands out. Dr. No stands out as well. Bond is kind of doing that sort of stance again. I think it's probably the same image from the first one, the DVD one, or very similar. And he is more, very, very more prominent on the cover here. It is just Bond. I gotta say, I think this is a tremendous cover. I really like it. Even though all of these don't really kind of give you an idea of the plot, I think on a lot of Bond covers, they're very suggestible, and I think it's a very much look at the actual name of the movie to make your decision on what this is going to be. I think as long as you see Connery there, it's like this is a Bond movie, go with it. I think that is the idea with all these Bond covers really in general. But yeah, I really like this one. I think it is a really nice colours, and I like the blue really blends in well. Obviously a really prominent colour over the whole colour scheme here, the blue. Really like it. Blu-ray, so far, this version, this cover is my favourite by far. Now, let's move on to the next one, and this is one I actually have. I've got this one here before we show it on screen, but the DVD, this is the one, like I said, you have like the 007 set where you put them all together and it says 007. That is the one I've got anyway. And let's talk about this. So, this one is... This is another great one. This is. Let's talk about it. It's very much from the last Blu-ray, the same image of Bond, or very similar. You get the beach background this time, but then you get Honey Rider in there as well. The Dr. No text is different. It's a different font this time round, where it went for like a yellowy black font, which I don't dislike. I do like that font. I like that it blends to a black sort of colour at the top, and then it goes to a lighter. You got that contrast here. I think it is really well. I really like this. So between this, so far, there is going to be one more after this, but between this DVD and the last Blu-ray that I really liked, maybe it's because I have this in my collection, but I gotta say, this is my favourite. Absolute favourite so far. I think it's just a classic one. I think this is the one what was on the VHS or very similar. Yeah, I think it's the best one so far. I'm going with this DVD. DVD of Bond so far is my favourite one. I just think it would make an epic poster on the wall. That's what I always look for in a case cover. And I love that Dr. No font as well. I think that's ace. Let's go for the final one. The final one is a Steelbook that is going to be available everywhere: Amazon, HMV, Zavvi. Coming out in October to celebrate the 60th release in October. And this is very simplistic. It's just basically, let's get to it. A black steelbook with red circular dots, and then you get the Dr. No text. What do the red dots signify? Well, if you watch the start of the movie, you get all like that intro where they're showing all the different directors, people working on the movie, and you get like them big red dots that kind of like swizzle around the screen a bit at the start of the movie, and you get that classic Dr. No text. And if you've just watched the movie, it kind of makes sense that they would do that. But for me, why don't you feature Bond on it? Why isn't the like Bond doing these like signature pose or something? It's a 60th anniversary set, a steelbook, and it is just so simple. And maybe I do like that sometimes. I like minimalist designs sometimes. I do like them simpler designs, but this is too simple. It just doesn't offer anything. It's not exciting. I think some people might like it. I'm not a big fan. So, who is the winner of today's movie variant showdown? I will tell you, the winner is the DVD of Bond. This one here, right in my hand here. This is the winner of today's Bond. Again, I love the text on the Dr. No. I like the contrast, the black to the lighter colours. The look of Bond here, I think it's great. I think it would be better with a tuxedo, but it's a beach movie, isn't it? So that kind of makes sense even more. A lot of it's set on the beach in the Caribbean, so it makes sense. You get the excellent first Bond girl in Honey Rider, the character. Absolutely superb. I think this is definitely the winner. It's my winner today for movie variant Showdown, celebrating the 60th anniversary of Dr. No. Now, let's move on to the next segment of today's show. The next segment is movies for the weekend. Every week, I give you some movie recommendations for you to watch this weekend if you're looking for something to watch. And I've got 2 recommendations, as always. 2 recommendations. And I thought, again, let's continue the trend of Dr. No, James Bond movies. And I've got the 2 sequels to Dr. No. I've got From Russia with Love, and I've got Goldfinger. 2 movies I'm definitely going to be checking out now after watching Dr. No today. Really looking forward to watching these. I think I'm going to go on a bit of a run with the Bond movies, especially definitely the Connery ones for now anyway. But yeah, if you're looking for something to watch, first of all, watch Dr. No, then check out these 2 great movies as well. Anyway, let's move on to the next segment of today's show. The Amazon Top 10 is approaching. Prepare yourself. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The Amazon Top 10 has arrived. The Amazon Top 10. Each and every week, I give you the Amazon Top 10 of best sellers in Blu-ray, 4K, and DVD on Amazon.co.uk. The best sellers list for this week at this moment in time, up to date. And let's go for it. At number 10, let's start off. What is number 10 in the physical releases? Starting off at number 10, The Lost City, starring Shannon Tatum and Sandra Bullock. It's been in the top 10 for a few weeks. Still not checked that movie out, but the DVD release is at number 10. At number 9, we have the Blu-ray of Elvis. That is the Blu-ray of that movie. I've still not seen that biopic. Still not really one I'm super interested in, I'll be honest with you. Maybe it is a good movie, though. I've heard good things. At number 8, we have the Get Carter 4K Blu-ray box set. So this is a big box set of the movie Get Carter. Not a movie I've seen, though. I'm going to have to check out that Michael Caine movie. I don't know if it's like a celebratory one, like it's celebrating a certain year. I imagine it is like a certain release of it. Yeah, let me know if you've checked out Get Carter. It's a good movie. At number 7, we have Disney's Encanto on DVD. At number 6, we have Operation Mincemeat, the DVD of that movie. At number 5, it is the Blu-ray release of Downton Abbey, A New Era, the new Downton Abbey movie, a Blu-ray release at number 5. At number 4, we have The Secret of Dumbledore, Fantastic Beast, the Blu-ray of that movie. It's at number 4. At number 3, it is Ethel and Ernest, the DVD. I've never heard of this movie. Ethel and Ernest, that's a new one to me. Let me know, Ethel and Ernest, do you know about this? Maybe this is a classic movie I've never heard of. Ethel and Ernest, yeah, let me know. It's an I'm gonna to, yeah, I've never heard of that one. At number 2, we have the DVD of Elvis, obviously the biopic. And at number 1, still at number 1, it is the Downton Abbey movie, A New Era on DVD. That is the Amazon Top 10 for this week. Let me know what you've watched in the Amazon Top 10. What are some of your favourites on the Top 10 list for this week, ladies and gents? Anyway, let's move on to the final segment of today's show. Final segment of today's show is What's Been on the Screen. Discussing what I've been watching this past week, ladies and gents. So, I will say this past week, I have binged The Boys Season 3. I know it was released a month or 2 ago now. With the amount of shows that have come out over the past couple of months, from the Obi-Wan Kenobi to, it's the Umbrella Academy, I've been watching that. There's been tons of shows, and Stranger Things, not forgetting Stranger Things. The Boys got lost in the shuffle for me, and I've enjoyed both of the previous seasons. I think it's an excellent show. So let's discuss season 3. I will say, if you've not watched season 3 as of yet, spoilers for season 3 in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Spoilers ahead, ladies and gents. I don't want to spoil it for anyone who's not watched it as of yet. So, season 3 of The Boys, another fantastic 10 out of 10 season for me. I think it was an excellent show again. I think it's not dipped in form, the show. The introduction of, the premise of this show this season is they want to find a way to kill Homelander. And they think there's a way, because there was a superhero called Soldier Boy who was around like in World War II, and he went missing suddenly, and they reckon there was a weapon that killed him and took him out. They go to Russia to try and find this weapon, but it turns out Soldier Boy is still alive, and it was kind of like a Captain America Winter Soldier where he was just like frozen in time basically, and he didn't age at all. And you get this introduction of this character played by Jensen Ackles, I think that's his name, playing the character of Soldier Boy, who's like this, just like this hardened soldier character who's like this, obviously a super soldier type character, who's got super strength, similar to Homelander, but he is like radioactive. He has like these blackouts where he has this like this radioactive like nuclear like explosion to him where it kills loads of people, and he's suffering from like PTSD as well, which is a really interesting sort of like character story to it. Another trait to his character, really adds a lot of detail to this character, Soldier Boy. He's a soldier. He's a character who's got a lot of stuff going on in his head, basically. And it is a really interesting story. I think, first of all, the introduction of this character, Soldier Boy, is excellent. By far, he is my favorite character in the whole show, Soldier Boy. Jensen Ackles, this guy, I think he has been mentioned for doing like a Batman movie. That guy has got one of the deepest voices ever. He's just got like, maybe not deepest, like that's the wrong word. One of the manliest voices. I mean, he has got the voice for Bruce Wayne. If I'm thinking of a Bruce Wayne voice, he has got the voice. That guy could easily play Batman. I don't know how old the guy is, but he looks like a fairly youngish guy. Maybe 40s, maybe I'd say. He could easily play Batman now still. I would love to see that guy playing Batman or voicing Batman in something. I'm sure he's meant to be doing something. I'm sure I read something, but I thought he was just great. I've never watched that show when he's been in the show. Is it Supernatural? Never watched that show. But yeah, he's great in this as Soldier Boy. And big part of it. And basically then the boys then try and recruit him to, come to a deal to kill Homelander. They come to an agreement that he agrees with them that they will hunt down, find and let him kill off his previous team members who set him up to get killed and get kidnapped basically by the Russians. And they go on killing all these old team members, and basically it gets to the end, you have this big finale of him taking on Homelander, but they realise this guy is kind of just as bad as Homelander. And it's also revealed that he is actually the biological father of Homelander. They used his DNA to create Homelander, which is really a weird twist. I don't know if that is the story in the comics. Maybe it is different, because I know they have changed a lot from the comics. And he really is a match for Homelander in this story. And in the end, he ends up getting defeated because Billy Butcher and Homelander team up against him, because he kind of like hits at Ryan, the son of Homelander, and they're both trying to protect Ryan in the end battle, which is an amazing battle because Butcher takes this new V sort of like drug that gives him like 24 hours of superpowers, and he kind of gets addicted to it. And obviously that's another story thread I'll get into. But he has like the sort of like the laser eyes, the flames coming out the eyes, the lasers, and they take him on, and we see him obviously at the end he explodes, but we do see in the end he's still alive, but he's being put into another coma, and he could hopefully come back. I hope they do bring him back in some form, whether it's animated, whether it's in the next season, or if it's in a spin-off show. I would love to see Jensen Ackles return. But yeah, Big Fred, Homelander didn't die in the end. At the end of the show, we see Homelander just blowing up a civilian in public, and he's kind of like, now to the public, he's kind of like just flaunting the fact that he's a badass, he just doesn't care, he's a psychopath, and he just blows up someone in front of his son, in front of a bunch of followers, and then they all start cheering him. And then I've seen that meme online where he's got that face where he's like, and he starts smiling. It's amazing. But yeah, it is absolutely phenomenal. A really good run of the show. And, it's let's get to another thread, and that is Billy Butcher. So Butcher, played by the awesome Carl Urban, really has a big story in this, really, that kind of will lead on to future seasons of the show. We see him, obviously, throughout this show, taking this, this 24-hour V drug where it gives him them superpowers. And Starlight reveals to Huey, who is also taking the drug, and to Butcher that, if you have too many shots of this, you can cause, permanent damage, and your brain can just sort of, melt. And Butcher decides to ignore that advice. Partly, you kind of is it because he just doesn't care about himself anymore? Or is it because he just genuinely wants to help people and get these powers so he can kill Homelander? You kind of don't really know, because he's obviously got a lot going on in his head. Every character in this show is just like Homelander, Soldier Boy, and Butcher. 3 characters are just all seriously messed up. But they're all amazing, absolutely amazing characters. But it's revealed at the end of the show as none of the rest of the boys know this, but he's in the hospital, and the doctor says, you've only got so long left to live, and he said 12 to 18 months. So I don't know how many more seasons they're going to do with the boys. This could be something that heals up, where he ends up surviving this. Or maybe this is the way he dies. I don't know the comic run. I don't know how his story ends. I don't even know if the comics are still going, I'll be honest with you. But it's going to be interesting whether, I think, could this be, the kind of the arc, the way they finish off the TV show of this, where Butcher kind of just goes on a killing spree and then dies anyway because he knows he's going to die or something like that. But I think it adds an interesting element moving towards the next season, because it kind of makes you really think of what's going to happen. Is Butcher going to die in the next season? And how many seasons they're going to have left? It's obviously going to be set over is it only going to be set over a 12 to 18 month period, these next couple of seasons? It's going to be interesting to see, but absolutely enjoyed the show. Some great moments. I think that end battle against Soldier Boy was probably my favourite moment. I mean, there's some other scenes as well, but I try and keep it PG on this channel, on this show. But yeah, I mean, The Boys is an adult show, isn't it? It's a superhero show for adults, and I mean, don't let your kids watch. Do not let your kids watch The Boys, please. That is a plea from the Movie Cheer podcast. But yeah, great show. Really enjoyed it. What else have I been watching this week? Anyway, I've watched a movie. I watched a movie last night. I watched a new one on Netflix. Came out this month or maybe last month, and it's an animated one called you may know this property, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Have you heard of it? Yeah, Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's a feature-length animated movie, and apparently it is a spin-off movie of the Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles TV show. So it's called Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the movie. So it's like a spin-off of that show. I've never seen the show before, this incarnation. I watched the 90s show as a kid. Loved the show. Never seen this incarnation. It's a very different style to the one I watched. The turtles have these sort of Doctor Strange-like powers. They have superpowers as well, which is really cool, as well as being ninjas. And the plot of the story is basically, it's kind of like a Days of the Futures Past X-Men story, where you get Casey Jones in the future. This is not spoiling it, because this is the start of the movie. Basically, Casey Jones in the future, in 2044, is sent back because the world's going to end because of the Krang, and an army of Krangs are destroying the world. He is sent back by the Turtles to get this object to try and stop the Krang from entering Earth at the beginning, and then they've got to basically save the Earth from Krang in present day. And it's a really fun story. Look, it's not, don't expect a marvel of animation, a marvel of animated movies, but it was a fun movie. If you like Ninja Turtles, you'll enjoy this. I was a bit worried of the animation at first, because it is so different from any of the other animation I've seen in Turtles stuff before, but I think once you get used to it, it's actually, you kind of this style kind of fits the these characters have got sort of like magical powers in this incarnation of Turtles. It fits well, and I liked it. I thought it was a really fun movie. I would have liked to have seen some of the more, like the, Shredder, the Rocksteady Bebop, Rocksteady, and you don't get them characters in there. You don't get some of them original ones from the cartoon, what I enjoyed. But I thought it was a different incarnation of Turtles, and I enjoyed it. I thought, like I said, it was a very much like a kind of like a time travel story where it gets sent back in time. Very science fiction like this story as well. And you've got the Krang as the villains in this. I think the Krang is a really good villain for this kind of story of time travel. And yeah, it works well. If you're a Ninja Turtles fan, check out Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Well worth looking at this movie. But anyway, that is it for today's show. If you enjoyed today's show, please do give it a like if you're watching on YouTube, and leave a comment below as well and let me know all your thoughts. If you're listening to this on a podcast app of your choice, please do leave a 5-star review if you can. All reviews will get read out eventually on the channel. Once we get enough reviews in, I'll start reading them out. Once we get access to them, you need so many reviews, but getting reviews in, it really helps the podcast to grow. And comment on YouTube, because it always, again, same scenario, it helps the podcast, the channel to grow even more and to get more people involved in this community. But let me know your thoughts on today's show, the 60th anniversary celebration of the movie Dr. No. What are your thoughts on this movie? Are you a fan of Dr. No? Where does it compare to other Bond movies for you? Is it your favourite? Is it your worst? Let me know all your thoughts. Let me know all your thoughts on all of the different movie topics on today's show as well. It's been a great show today. I've really enjoyed looking at one particular movie today, and it's been fun to just deep dive into that and just really have a good discussion about it. And I can't wait to hear all of your opinions on this movie as well, and on today's show in general. Thank you very much for watching, ladies and gents. Remember to spread a bit of movie cheer, and as always, I will see you next time.